Welcome back, pre-algebra students. We're in lesson 111. We're going to talk a little bit about commission. Many companies will pay their sales personnel a base salary that is low, or a set amount each month. And then the rest of their paycheck is based on what's called commission, which is a percentage of however much they sell that month. And they do that because that commission becomes an incentive. Because if they say, okay, 10% of whatever you sell is yours, then that encourages them or incentivizes them to sell more. Just think about the fact that if you had a job where however much you sold, you got a part of, that would encourage you to sell more or as much as you possibly could so that your paycheck would be a good one, so you could have money to pay your bills and money left over. So let's look at the first problem and see if we can solve a commission problem. All right, 111.1 says that a sales representative was paid a base salary of $300 a month. He was also paid a 10% commission. If he sold $26,000 this month, what was his paycheck? So we start with the amount or the percent of his commission, which is 10%. And we multiply that times the amount that he sold, which was $26,000. And that is going to be his commission. We convert this into a decimal, which would be 0.1 times $26,000. Let's pull up our calculator. So 0.1 times 1,230,000 is $2,600. That's his commission. So what we do to find out his paycheck is we take his base pay, this is his base, $300, and we add that to his commission, which was $2,600, and we find that his total pay for that month was $2,900. That is not too shabby. That's a pretty good paycheck for the month. All right, so let's talk a little bit about markup. Markup is not all about profit. If I buy something for $1 and I mark it up, let's say 50%, and I sell it for $1.50, I also have bills and expenses to pay out of that markup. So there are things like, if I have a store, there are things like rent, there are things like the water bill, there's the employees' salaries, there's insurance, there's, the cost that, the employer has to buy toilet paper for his employees to use in their employee bathrooms. He's got to buy a microwave. He's got to buy a refrigerator for the break room. There are other expenses that aren't going to be covered if he doesn't have a markup on his business. Not to mention the fact that the reason you go into business is to make a profit that will pay for your lifestyle also. You want to be able to make enough money to make it worth your while to run a business, because it is a lot of work to do that. But you also need to make enough money to put back into the company so that you continue to buy the inventory. You can continue to hire employees. You can grow the business. Maybe you can offer additional hours and have multiple shifts. There are things like that that we have to take into account when it comes to markup when running a business or when even buying something from a business. We have to allow that person or that company to make a profit. Or if we don't, that company goes out of business and we no longer have their services. So let's talk about that. Let me write 111.2 up here. All right, so in this problem, a store owner marks up her merchandise 40%. Her expenses were $5,200 in the month she sold $16,000 of inventory. What was her profit? So if she marks it up 40%, then we can say 40% times $16,000 of inventory. That's going to be the markup. Okay, so we can put this into a decimal. That'd be 0.4 times $16,000. So if we put that in the computer calculator, 0.4 times 16,000 equals 6,400. So she made $6,400 in markup. But that is not all profit. She has expenses in employee salary and benefits and taxes and rent and utilities and employee supplies of $5,200. So those were her expenses. So we subtract the expenses from the amount of markup, and we find that she only made $1,200 in profit that month. Now that $1,200 is what the profit, that's what she would either put back into the business or pay herself, etc., etc. So you can see that markup is important. Markup is necessary. You can't just sell things for what you buy them at. Unless, you're doing a yard sale and you're trying to get rid of it and it doesn't matter. You just want to sell it and make a little something off of it. That's fine. But in regards to running your own business, if you were to do that, you've got to charge a reasonable markup on what something costs in order to be able to afford to continue running the business. And that is all we have for lesson 111. I will see you in lesson 112.